It gets worse, not better. But that's my 2 cents. Joining me now, Republican Congressman Michael Grimm and Democratic Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, both of them from New York. Welcome to you both.
Great to be here.
Fantastic to be here.
All right, guys, let's start with this whole idea that I brought up about everybody talking and doing nothing at all. Michael, to you, you've been on the show many times. We've talked about sort of the delays in policy. Is this upsetting you, too? Sure.
Well, it's definitely frustrating. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I came to Congress as a former U.S. Marine and a former FBI agent where results matter. But I got to say one thing. I think that the House of Representatives has acted. That's the frustrating part for me. The Republicans have put policies forward, and we voted on them. I can't force the Senate or the President to do their job, but I feel that we have done our job.
But Republicans here, I mean, they're delaying, too. I mean, that's part of the problem, isn't it?
Well, it's a challenge for everyone, but we have moved forward. When President Obama took office, we were losing over 700,000 jobs a month. Now we are gaining jobs, not enough. The economy is moving forward. We have a great deal more work to do, but we're moving in the right direction.
I disagree. I don't think we're moving in the right direction. I think with unemployment at 9%, gas prices skyrocketing, I think the policies that have come out of Washington in the last few years have actually stifled our ability to grow the economy and to recover. And if we don't get our act together, we're going to lose this precious thing called the American dream. And the debt that looms over us, it's not a joke. It's serious. The numbers don't lie. We have to act, and we have to act now.
I want to talk a little bit about Richard Trumka, the AFL-CIO president. He had something very interesting to say today. He says the role of unions is not to build the power of any political party, but to improve the lives of working families. Carolyn Maloney, to you, interesting what he had to say today. He wants to pull support from Democratic Congress folks running for office. What do you make of that?
Well, I'm not aware of any Democrat that he wants to pull support from when he makes that public, but I think we all agree that we need to support America's working families, and we need to get this debt under control. Reducing the deficit, I believe, is a bipartisan goal, that we have to do it in a reasonable and fair way, and raising the debt ceiling should not be a partisan issue. It should be above politics.
Well, we're not even talking about that yet. We're trying to get to Trumka's issue, which is, I think he's upset that the president isn't doing what he wants. Is this going to be meaningful in any way?
Well,
Trump is pulling support. Do you think he'll really do it? I mean, where else is he going to go?
Well, I certainly think it's meaningful in the sense that now the American people will know no elected official should be beholden to any one group or any one constituency. We represent a vast, Staten Island and Brooklyn, for example, where I represent, it's a very diverse population. We have to represent everyone there, and I'm not beholden to any one specific group. Nobody owns Michael Grimm. I'm there to represent all of those people, and I think that's the message that should come out of this, and that's what the Democrats should tell this president.
Well, Congresswoman Maloney, you said you brought up the deficit in Trumka. Here's what he had to say on that. In state after state and here in Washington, these so-called fiscal hawks are actually doing almost nothing to cut the deficit. What do you make of that?
Well, I think the president came forward with a balanced plan that had fair and balanced cuts. He wasn't going after cuts with a machete, but with a scalpel, and he came forward that everything should be on the table, including responsible revenue increases, including the military efficiencies, including deductions and cuts in a more balanced way, doing away with Medicare as we know it, and balancing the budget on the backs of the middle class and low-income earners and the seniors is just not fair.
And you're saying that's what the Republicans are doing. Do you
Absolutely.
agree?
Yeah, and I have a great respect from my colleague and gentleman from New York, but I have to completely disagree. First of all, there's no one more middle class than I am. My father worked 3 jobs to put me through school. We get that. But the truth is, this president has completely abdicated his leadership. He spoke in the State of the Union about entitlements, came out with a budget plan that didn't even mention entitlements. The truth is, we can't even have a conversation about balancing this budget unless we're going to talk about entitlement reform. And the Republican plan did not include Medicare changing for those 55 and over. Our current seniors would not be affected by that. So to say we were doing it on the backs of seniors is disingenuous.
You're not driving Granny off the cliff like we've seen in the
Absolutely not, but that's the rhetoric that we hear, and that's why the debate won't go forward.
If you're 55 and older, you may not, because you're exempting them, but those that are 55 and younger, you are. And there is a very, well, they will be very soon. And there's a very interesting race in upstate New York, 26. It's the 9th most Republican district in the country. And on the Medicare issue alone, the Democratic candidate in the last poll was ahead. So this is a huge issue that is driving
but
to the hearts of
the
Americans.
Congresswoman's point, answer this. So what do you think is going to happen to the benefits for people who are younger than 55? Are they going to decline?
If we do nothing, they won't have them. That's the problem. We can't sit here and do nothing, because by 2023 or about there, somewhere between 9 and 14 years from now, Medicare will be completely broken. There'll be no more Medicare. So if we really want to preserve Medicare for our future generations, then we have to act now.
All right, I want to read you something Jamie Dimon, the J.P. Morgan Chase CEO, had to say. He's worried about the debt, the deficit, and particularly whether we default on our loans. He says that a default on the loans would create an economic disaster that would dwarf Lehman, the fall of Lehman Brothers. Do you agree with that? Do you think it's that essential? You know, we're already past that deadline. What's going to happen next?
Well, Jamie Dimon specifically speaking, if we go forward and actually default on our debt, do I think that would be catastrophic? Yes, I do think it would be catastrophic. But it is just as catastrophic to push this can down the road and not deal with our debt crisis, because eventually we are not going to have any more access to credit as Americans, because we're not credit worthy, and we're going to have the same problem, only then we can't fix it. So we have to fix it now, and we have to be fiscally responsible.
Well, I agree with Jamie Dimon, and many leaders in business are saying the same thing. The Chamber of Commerce, even former President Reagan, when he was in office, advocated for raising the debt limit. And I think these debt limit deniers or default deniers are really playing Republican roulette with the gun, hoping the gun doesn't have a bullet in it,
but, you know,
it could hit the entire economy.
The question becomes, when does default happen? And I think that's the big question that nobody wants to answer. And the reality is that the IRS has money coming in every single day of the week.
Yes, but we borrow 42 cents on every dollar. So the reality is,
but we still have 60 cents coming in.
Yes, but so the point, can we actually pay our debt? Yes, most likely we can, but we can't pay Social Security. We can't pay for our military. So there's a lot of things that will not be paid.
So what do you say to this situation right now? Are you ready to raise the ceiling on it?
It's very, very simple. What we need to do is actually put a plan that cuts spending now and puts systemic reforms in place so that we're not raising it in the future. Under those circumstances, yes, I will raise the debt ceiling, but only under those circumstances. To do it otherwise is completely irresponsible, and it's an abdication of my leadership, which I will not do.
Well, I think the Republicans should not be holding the entire economy of America hostage. If raising the debt ceiling should be above politics. It's in America's interest to raise it, get it behind us, then let's get together and have a meaningful debate and discussion and dialogue.
That's what we've been doing.
Unfortunately, you know, the irony of that is, unfortunately, that's just not how Washington works. I wish I didn't have to use the stick and I could use the carrot. But Washington is broken. It's upside down.
You've got that last part right. Washington is broken. Congressman Grimm and Maloney, thanks for coming in today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Went so fast.
Indeed it did. If you're fired up about this or any of the issues on the program, just drop us an email to WIllis.